Howdy, howdy, everybody. This is Colin, back at it again with episode 41 of A New Direction, the podcast where I sit around and yap for 30 minutes about inconsequential things. Today, we are going to be doing a little bit of an audio focused episode here. I got some upgrades and stuff to the setup I have, at least compared to what it's been in the past. I really have some, I guess, what some people would call end game equipment, and I just wanted to talk a little bit about that today, and just kind of discuss my love of audio in general. Excuse me. I'm drinking a soda here. Shout out Summit Cola, Aldi for the win. So if I'm a little gasacious, you'll have to forgive me. But yeah, I just want to talk a little bit about audio, and it's a passion of mine, and I think that kind of goes in tandem with a lot of musicians as well. So we might talk a little bit about that and the guitar setup and whatnot that I am working with these days. I know a couple, I guess, years ago at this point, probably, I talked a little bit about my desire to get a virtual rig and everything, and so that has happened. Although I still use analog gear and tube amps, I do have a little virtual rig as well. So we'll dive into that, but I think we're going to do mostly audio equipment, consumer grade, entertainment kind of stuff, but we'll get into that. We'll talk a little bit about it as this episode progresses. But as always, we're going to start off with the music recommendation. Today I'm going to be recommending an album that I have most definitely recommended in the past, but a little bit of sad news here, and so I just wanted to throw this out there and give some support to these people. Today we're going to be recommending Buster by Admiral Angry. An album that I have most definitely talked about before, like I said, so it really needs no introduction. Probably the most intense and heavy sludge album that I have ever listened to, and my favorite, without a doubt. I'm recommending this just in memory of Chris Lindblad, who was their vocalist on that record. He recently passed, and I just wanted to show some support there. I'll be leaving the link to their merch page. I can't remember what website it is I was going to say there, but I'll be leaving a link. They've got a t-shirt up for pre-order to support him, and all of those proceeds will go to the funeral costs for him. But this album really needs no introduction. It's pure riffage, pure heavy, just absolute disgusting awesomeness. And I just wanted to shout them out and to kind of memorialize Chris Lindblad, who contributed his incredible voice to this record. And, while I didn't know him at all, I am just a fan. He seemed like a really awesome guy and somebody who was very dedicated to music. So, in memory of Chris Lindblad here, he really brought this album to life in a big way with his unique vocal style. So go give this a listen and go support the members of Admiral Angry, who most of them are now in the band Black Sheep Wall, and they deserve it. They're really awesome people. I have had the luxury, I suppose you would say, of talking to their Black Sheep Wall's vocalist who played bass on Buster. He's a really cool guy, and he actually sent me a CD, an Admiral Angry CD, some months ago, maybe a year ago at this point. But go shout them out and give them some support, because it's a big loss, and I think they are very deserving of the support. But with that disheartening news out of the way, let's dive into the episode here. Just gonna be, like I said, talking about some consumer grade audio equipment and the like. I want to start off with my headphones here. For the longest time, I was using those Philips Fidelio X2 HRs. Incredible headphones, by the way. Very, very fun listening. They kind of have like that V curve, so kind of bassy and very energizing, but they also have an incredibly wide sound stage. So if that's something that you're interested in, I highly recommend those headphones for that purpose. But I recently, a couple months ago, I stupidly spent a lot of money. They're incredible headphones, so it wasn't a stupid decision, but just a lot of money to drop on something so remedial. But I bought the Hi-Fi Man Aria Stealths, which are an in-game headphone for a lot of people, I think. They're a planar dynamic headphone, so they have a very great nuanced sound, very detailed, and just awesome headphones, really. They do things with music and allow you to hear details and stuff that you have probably never heard, even in songs that you've listened to hundreds or thousands of times. They just really bring out the best in every song. And, you know, a lot of times with headphones, you hear people talking about how, you know, they're good for some genres, but maybe lacking in others. I really feel like the Arias are perfect in every genre that I've listened to through them. They just have an incredible amount of detail retrieval and separation, and the soundstage is super wide because they're the big egg-shaped open backs. So, I mean, you have sound coming at you from above and below your ears, and it just kind of gives you a very surround sound, almost kind of sound profile without actually having to use any sort of digital surround sound software or anything. They're quite a bit of money. They're on sale right now, I want to say for $650, which is what I paid. But I don't regret it, and I would recommend them to anybody who is looking for like an end game pair of headphones. The Aria Stealths are incredible. They just have an immense level of detail and nuance that I really didn't know was possible. I've also delved into the IEM, you know, in-ear monitor style listening as well, and I have a pair of Simgo SM500s, I believe, the pre-revision version, and they're really awesome as well. I think they're like $80, and they are very similar, very shocking, you know, especially coming from like high-end Bluetooth headphones. You know, I have a pair of AirPod Pros that I love, but the Simgos, even for coming in at a third of the price of the AirPods, they are far more detailed and just do a lot more with the sound, I think. And I guess you could argue that, you know, the EQ of the AirPods is supposed to be for the ubiquitous listener, you know, or maybe ubiquitous isn't the right word, but the everyday listener. You know, they're not going to be picking up their AirPods and listening to music and trying to get like a certain sound profile. They just want their music to sound good and have the bass and everything that they're looking for. And so the AirPods are great for that. And the noise cancellation is really sweet. But if you're into IEMs and that kind of thing, the Simgos are great as a budget option. They're the only pair that I have right now, but I have looked at getting other IEMs just to augment my collection a little bit more. That's the justification that I use. But they're pretty sweet. But the Arias are just in a tier of their own, I would say. Now, I mean, obviously you have other headphones kind of in that high grade price tag, and even far, far more expensive. But I really think for that $650 on sale, you're getting a headphone that is better than the majority of other options on the market, up to probably that $1,000 price point. I think normally they're like $1,250, so they're right in line, but they're incredible, and I think they punch above their weight class as well. You know, if you're looking at other Hi-Fi Men offerings, I mean, I think they're every bit as probably 90 or 95% of the Susvaro, which is like $7,000. So, you know, you're getting a product that will last you forever, as long as you get a good pair with quality control wise. I know Hi-Fi Men has had a lot of issues with quality control reported over their duration on the market, but I have, knock on wood, had no issues with my set, and they come with a warranty from Hi-Fi Men, and they're apparently really good to work with. So, you know, if the customer support and everything is there, I wouldn't shy away from them. And I mean, if you're looking at the planar thing, I mean, the Sundara is also a good option. I think, you know, you're getting that planar experience for a much cheaper price. I think they're on sale right now for like $200 or something like that. So you can get a really good pair of headphones for not a lot of money there, and just to see if you like them. But I kind of took a gamble. I originally ordered the Ananda because they were on sale. I was actually getting I ordered the Edition XS, which was on sale, and they're very similar to the Ananda as far as what I'm aware. They just have a much less comfortable headband, but they ended up not being able to ship for like a couple months, so I ended up canceling that order. I was going to get the Anandas, and then I was just like, well, if I'm going to be buying these, I may as well get the most, you know, the best pair for the money that I felt comfortable spending, and the Aria Stealths were just right in that bracket, and so I jumped on them, and I have loved every bit of my listening experience with them. Music is just a whole different ball game when you have a set of headphones like this, because it really does immerse you in a big way. You're getting to hear nuances and details, like I said before, that you have not heard before, and that is true for me and true for the people that I've let try these headphones. You know, for example, listening to Exuvia, the album that I've ranted and raved about now, I think for 3 different videos. just the way the music surrounds you and encompasses your brain is incredible, and it really adds to the listening experience. And I do think that's kind of the benefit of having such high end headphones. They really allow you to get lost in the experience because they provide the sound in such a great way. And I'm not sitting here saying that they're like perfectly neutral headphones, because they're not. I wouldn't say they're like a reference headphone, maybe something like well, I don't know, like an Audio Technica, like ATH 50, I think. They're like a studio headphone that you would use for mixing. Obviously, you can do that with these, but because they're not like a perfectly flat curve, I'm not somebody who's sitting here looking at graphs and frequency responses and the like, but I wouldn't say that they're perfectly flat sounding. I think they're known for having a bit of a treble, maybe a peak somewhere in one of the frequencies up in the treble range, which gives them a kind of a bright tonality. So if that's something you're not looking for, or if the brightness is harsh on your ears, I wouldn't recommend them. But they're phenomenal, and give them a try anyway. I mean, they might surprise you, but I highly recommend the Aria Styles. I think they're wonderful headphones. But to segue, obviously, being a planar and requiring some power, you best have a headphone amp to go with that. So after I bought them, I ended up buying the JDS Labs Atom Stack, which it was kind of a hard decision. You have some other options there. So, the JDS Lab stuff is obviously very popular, but you have the shit Audio Magni Modi stack. And I believe there's another brand now that has a pretty budget topping. The topping stuff, I believe, has a budget stack that you can buy. So I was kind of torn about this, but ultimately I went with the JDS Labs because I just like their brand. I like the way that they present their products, and the new Revision 2 version of the Atom Stack is the metal casing and everything now, and you can also have them engraved as well, which I did. I commissioned some pixel art from a guy on Fiverr, kind of some gothic looking art. I might throw a picture up here on the screen to show y'all what they look like, but I got them engraved, and it's free to do that. So not only do you get an incredible product, but you also get something that gives you a personalization option for free. Which, if you're anything like me, I jump on that kind of stuff. I think it's cool to have like personalized and unique equipment, whether or not that's headphones or gear like analog, or maybe not analog, but the audio gear, the amp and DAC and everything, or whether you're talking guitars or guitar amps or whatever. I'm big on having like personalized gear. And so I think that the Atom Stack has been great, and they drive these just fine. I actually have quite a bit of headroom to go with it, and I think that they will be suitable for the majority of headphones on the market. I don't think you're going to be running out of power for anything, unless you're running some stupid power-hungry headphones, but even still, I think you would be able to get a volume level out of it that you'd like. I find that the sound profile, I guess that's maybe not the best thing to talk about when referring to amps and DACs and that kind of thing, but I find them to be quite neutral, quite clear. I don't feel like they color the sound at all. I know the shit stuff, people say it kind of gives a more warm tonality to it, which for some people might be appealing, but I kind of ended up shying away from them just because I'd heard some issues with their customer support and quality control and that kind of thing. And so I felt that by getting the JDS stuff, I might be a little bit more protected in that sense. And their customer service is really, really good. They're very quick to reach out and respond and get back to you if necessary. Actually, the guy that I worked with to get the pixel art for the engraving, he ended up having to reach out to the support to see if he could get like a template or something he could use to make sure the art would fit on the boxes. And they got back to him really quickly, provided everything he needed, and it was pretty sweet. They're just a really good company. They stand by their products, and they have some good offerings, even though their product catalog is not very large. So I think if you're kind of delving into this world of audio and you're looking to get a setup like this, JDS Labs is probably the way to go. I mean, they're highly recommended for a reason, and I'm going to espouse that same support because my experience with it has been wonderful. They just do the trick, and they seem sturdy enough, so there's not a whole lot else to say about that. I find that, a lot of people might get kind of lost in the weeds when it comes to amps and DACs and that kind of thing, and talking about like I was mentioning earlier, how it colors your sound and that kind of thing and how it affects the tone. I'm not deep enough into it to really care about that kind of stuff like that, but they're fine. They do just fine. They power everything the way I'd like, and they're pretty flexible as far as options. They've got plenty of I/O and whatnot that you can output and route it and do whatever. So if that's a concern for you, you should be fine there as well. So let me breathe here. I'm talking so fast. But with that being said, the most recent addition here has been this microphone. I ended up buying the Electro Voice RE20, which is a very well-known mic. It's been around for many, many decades now and relatively unchanged in that time. It seems to be a pretty popular option amongst broadcasters and podcasters. Maybe not to the same extent that something like the Shure SM7B is, but I actually looked at the Shure mic. I almost pulled the trigger on it, actually, but my big fear with that was the power requirements. I still have that Focusrite Scarlett Solo, and the Shure is a pretty power-hungry microphone, and I didn't want to have to, like, crank the gain, like, all the way up on the interface to do that, and, obviously the alternative option there would be to get, like, an inline preamp, like a Cloud Lifter or something like that, and they're expensive. They're like $150, I think, on top of the price of the mic. So even though the mic was on sale, buying the Cloud Lifter and the mic together would have put me pretty much a little bit more expensive than what I paid for this. And, this runs just fine off the Solo. I haven't had any issues with gain or clipping or anything of that sort. I mean, it's just right. It puts me right in that sweet spot that I need where I can still do some EQ and compression afterwards, but it still gets a great broadcast sound. So I guess the big main thing I can do in this segment is talk a little bit about how it compares to the MXL mic I had before. It was a condenser, the MXL 770. The big distinguishing factor there would be the fact that this is a dynamic microphone and the MXL is a condenser microphone. So different structure there, I suppose. The dynamics seem to be much better options, I would say, for broadcasting and podcasting stuff, mostly because they have a much better noise rejection. Obviously, now that I've started using this, all the background noise and stuff from my room, the ceiling fan and the mini fridge that I have somewhere back over here, you don't hear the humming and the buzzing and all that stuff that comes along with having that stuff going. Whereas with the MXL, all of that stuff was very present because those condenser mics are just so sensitive. Another benefit here with the dynamic is you don't need phantom power. So if you don't have an interface, which in this day and age, most interfaces have phantom power built in. But, if you're running a piece of gear that doesn't have phantom power like built in, you can just run this thing straight in and get all the sounds you need. And it has no issues. You don't require it. Whereas with the condenser like the MXL, and that Neewer mic I used to have back in the day, those both required phantom power. So another thing to consider as well, that might be another gear investment you would have to make if you were looking to buy a condenser mic. You do have to have that phantom power. But overall, the biggest benefit, I would say, is the sound quality. I know I was blown away when I first plugged this thing in and demoed it. I think I talked a bit about this in a previous episode, but, when you go from that Neewer that I had, which was like a helicopter mic, that's a bit of an exaggeration, but, excuse me, that was a bit of an exaggeration, but, when you go from that to that MXL, I was like, wow, this is a huge step up. And it was, certainly. The quality was much better, but, at the same time, people do kind of harp on MXL mics. I'm not really sure why. I don't know if it's a build quality thing or marketing or whatever, but I really had no issues with that MXL mic. I mean, I think it sounded fine. Like I said, it did pick up all the background noise and stuff, but that's really my own fault because I don't have a soundproofed space, nor do I have the ability to turn off all the ambient sound in my house. So, for me, like, while that was a drawback, I mean, I felt the sound quality was pretty good. I do think the MXL was a bit trebly, kind of a higher pitched or a higher frequency harshness that may have been a bit displeasing to some. But, overall, I thought it was a good mic, and it certainly was a big improvement from that Neewer. But, then going from that to this, that's a huge difference in quality. I was blown away when I first listened to this, and, it sounds like you're doing like a radio show or something. I mean, it just has that very full-bodied sound that you would expect from a program like that, and that was one of the main reasons I bought this microphone, really. I wanted to have that better sound quality, and, a lot of people do opt for that SM7B, but I really just preferred the way this one sounded. It had a much better and maybe more detailed sound. I think the Shure is known for being a pretty dark mic. It doesn't have a lot of emphasis anywhere across the frequency response other than maybe the bass because of the resonance chamber on it, but I felt that this mic, the RE20, has a much more full-bodied and clear sound. It's more clarity, a little more bright, a little more maybe in your face is a better word. And that's not to say the Shure can't get there without some EQ or some external tweaking after the fact, but this just has it right out of the box. You get a really great sound that I really don't do any EQ other than a high pass and low pass filter. Both at the beginning and end of the audio response, frequency response or whatever, just to cut out some of that stuff that's not necessary. But besides that, I do a little compression just for whatever. I mean, I tend to believe that any type of vocal work, you should always do a little compression just to even out everything. But besides that stuff, I really don't have to do anything with this mic. It just sounds that good out of the box, and it really gets you that nice broadcast tone. So, yeah, I would definitely recommend the RE20 to anybody who is looking for a broadcast or podcasting microphone who, maybe doesn't want an SM7B, isn't a fan of the sound quality. But, I mean, I really don't think you can go wrong either way. They tend to be like direct competitors to one another, and maybe I can admit a little bit that I wanted to be a bit of a contrarian in the sense that every podcaster ever seems to buy the SM7B. And so, I wanted to try something different and have a different option. So the RE20 is phenomenal. Like I said, it's been around for over 50 years at this point, and it's been a staple in recording for a long time for a reason. It just sounds good. It does a great job, like I was mentioning, of the isolation. The background noise is gone, and the design is also just really cool as well. I like how it looks. It's got a bit of a more unique appearance compared to the Shure SM7B. You've got all this grill stuff on the front, which I think has to do with the plosive reduction and the background noise reduction as well, but it also just tends to look really cool. It also has a proximity effect, kind of nullifying thing going on. So, whether I'm this close to it or if I'm like 4 feet away, the vocal quality is not reduced. A lot of times, and you see that with the Shure, you get people who get right up on it because it has such a good sound that way, but the further back you get, that quality is reduced over and over, and it introduces more noise and stuff to it. But this mic has some kind of magic trick going on where that doesn't happen. It kind of blows my mind a little bit. But overall, the RE20 is a phenomenal mic. It has exceeded all of my expectations, and I would highly recommend it to anybody looking to do a show like this. It is a bit of an investment, but it's a worthwhile one, and it is truly an in-game microphone unless you're really wanting to step up and get like a Neumann or something like that. But I don't know why you'd be spending $1,000 to do a podcast on one microphone. You can get two and a half of these for that price. So, yeah, I think the RE20 is a good investment for anybody looking to do this kind of thing. So that really kind of sums up the additions to my setup. I'm always looking at audio gear, and maybe not necessarily desktop audio like I was mentioning at the start. With guitars and stuff, I'm always looking at amps and pedals and pedal board accessories and that kind of thing. Excuse me. I mentioned that I had gotten a digital rig, and I did. I bought a Neural DSP Quad Cortex about a year ago, and it has also been a phenomenal piece of gear. It was a tough decision. I will admit that had the Kemper had the pay-as-you-go option that Sweetwater offers, the Sweetwater card or whatever, had they had that available on the Kemper, I honestly probably would have bought that. But the Quad Cortex surprised me in a big way. The quality is there. The user interface is great. You know, being able to edit all your parameters right on it like a touchscreen, but also being able to plug into your computer and edit it that way as well has been awesome. It's very flexible routing wise. It's got a bunch of different outputs and whatnot. And the USB recording is sweet. It records in stereo straight off of USB. And I actually recorded the entire Buried Asunder album, which I don't know if I've talked about that yet. Buried Asunder is like my solo black metal project. I recorded all the guitar and bass on that first release that is not out yet because I can't write lyrics. I've been kind of lazy on that, but I recorded that whole album, the guitar and bass, with the Quad Cortex. It does bass, it does guitar, it's got all the pedals and everything built in, a bunch of different amp models, and it also is a capture device as well. So much like the Kemper, the Kemper relies on captures of other amps. This does the same thing. You can capture your amp. You have to mic it up pretty well. I've never done it, but you get it mic'd up, get it dialed up how you want, and the Quad Cortex will capture it and store it in there, and you can use it at any time, adjust it, and add pedals and whatever to it if you'd like. It also has the Cortex Cloud, where you can go in and download other people's captures and do that kind of thing as well. So if you're into that kind of social aspect, it's there, and it's very well supported. It's all done over Wi-Fi, so you can do it all on your phone, and it'll just be on the device. It's kind of like magic. Neural is really where it's at as far as like the plugins and stuff is concerned, but also having a hardware device as well is just a really cool thing. And they're also adding plugin support to it as well, so you can actually use the plugins on the device. It's taken them a while to get it to where it is now, but it is in a very good spot. So the Quad Cortex is an awesome piece of gear that I would recommend. I think that kind of goes a little bit off topic, but it's audio related. So, yeah, I would recommend it if you're looking for a modeler. The fractal stuff is something I'm also kind of curious in. I wouldn't mind buying an Axe-Fx just to try it out and see what I think of it, but I do still want a Kemper, admittedly. I will probably end up getting a Kemper at some point just because of its legendary status and the fact that they sound really good. But the Quad Cortex is sweet. Recommend it. But yeah, that kind of covers the audio stuff. I had one more topic here that I wanted to talk about, which is anime. A lot of people love anime, and admittedly, I really didn't get into it here until very recently. Me and my girlfriend watched Akame ga Kill, which is a pretty controversial anime from what I understand due to the ending, but that kind of sparked something within me, and now I've been watching a lot of different anime and stuff like that. I watched Jujutsu Kaisen, and I'm caught up with Dan to Dan. I'm waiting on episodes to come out there right now, but right now, my big infatuation is ReZero. Truly an incredible show. Probably, I would go so far as to say it's probably the best show I've ever seen. And I know that's kind of crazy to say, but I'm not a big show person. I like movies more than shows, but this anime is just incredible. And it's got a really good reputation, and for a great reason. The story is there, the characters are there, and I'm just sitting here finding myself rooting for these imaginary people that don't exist. Like, I'm like deeply invested in this show. I've been up here for, till 5, 6 in the morning just binging this show because it's that good. I just highly recommend it. Now, I'm not going to talk anything about the story because I want to be able to allow other people to have the same experience watching that I've been having, but it is truly just on a different level. It's incredible. The storytelling, the writing, the dialogue, just everything about it is awesome. The characters are awesome, and just the moral and ethical themes are just sweet. Like, I don't know, it's a very serious anime, I would say. A lot of the other shows that I've seen have been more kind of lighthearted. There's some serious parts to them, but they're kind of more lighthearted in nature. Not this one, I would say. This one does have some comedic and funny moments, but it's just a very serious and well fleshed out story, which I very much appreciate. But yeah, go check out ReZero. It's on Crunchyroll. The first season is the director's cut, so that's why I've been up so late, because each episode's like an hour long almost. But, you know, well worth the time, well worth the investment, and I am very happy to recommend this show. I've also been watching Naruto, but admittedly, while I understand it's an awesome show and I agree, I do have a hard time getting into its long windedness. You know, one fight scene will be like 3 or 4 episodes long, and, you know, I don't know, and there's a lot of dialogue and talking and just slow moving parts in it that I kind of find it hard to adapt to. So I kind of I kind of skip around a lot and whatnot, but yeah, I think that ReZero is the one to beat for me right now. I feel like I'm going to be hard pressed to find a show that really speaks to me the way that this one has. But yeah, with that being said, that kind of covers it. Anime's pretty sweet, and it's taken me this long to get into it, but go check out ReZero at the very least. Go watch it. Just give it a shot. It's really good. And it kind of dives right in. You know, you're not waiting on some slow start. I mean, it's just straight in. So you get drawn in pretty quickly. But yeah, I think that pretty much covers it here for episode 41. A lot of talking, a lot of audio, a lot of buzzwords and equipment names that most people probably don't care about, but just wanted to talk a little bit about my experiences with the upgrades that I've made here and the fact that they have been very profound and also enabled me to sound better on these podcasts as well, at least in the case of the microphone. But yeah, with that being said, I hope y'all enjoyed this episode. Very long-winded, very fast-speaking, but, I felt like talking about it. So, yeah, with that being said, I hope y'all enjoyed. I've been Colin. This has been episode 41. Thank you for listening, and I will see y'all next time. Take it easy.